this is disturbing.
It's violent. It's upsetting. The movie isn't quite like an act of activism. Politics are a thing. Police are a thing. White supremacy is a thing.
And what annoys me about left-leaning people is this moral high ground. Protesting is great, but like, are you really about it? Are you really about to show up to something like this seriously? The way these characters are in this movie? No, they're not showing up. This, like, none of us are.
Paul Thomas Anderson, this director, hasn't made a movie set in the modern day for like almost 25 years. He's like in his 50s now. And so everyone was kind of wondering, like, can he write modern day characters? We just saw a movie called One Battle After Another. It is the 10th movie by writer-director Paul Thomas Anderson. And I think it is Mackenzie's first movie by that director. It's very, I wouldn't say controversial, but there's a lot in the movie that could rub you the wrong way, that could rub you the right way. It was rubbing me the right way.
Yes, it was a lot. It's just so much anxiety-inducing stuff. It is very entertaining. You're not going to want to zone out or look at your phone. It keeps you very much immersed. It's just so on the nose to what's going on right now when it comes to politics and stuff. It's almost disturbing because you're thinking about the real life situations where this is happening or could be happening. There are motherfuckers out there that are doing stuff like this, and they do have kids in cages and stuff, and it's just like, damn.
The movie literally opens with Teyana Taylor's character walking on an overpass above an immigration detention center. It could be taken as on the nose, and obviously this stuff has been in the air for a while or been important issues for a while, but what I think is crazy, the movie's been in the works for 2-3 years. So it being so topical and relevant, they couldn't have known that this year especially, immigration would be such a thing. ICE deporting people. This isn't new stuff, but it does feel particularly resonant when ICE, I think right now, is trying to expand the amount of detention space it has. One of the things that hit me the hardest this time, when the militarized police come into like the food factory, it's like people just working. Police state just comes in and is making everyone line up and pointing guns at them. And it's just reminding me of news that you hear now where ICE is just going to these random towns in the Midwest, to these factories where people are just trying to work and eke out a living, not even like it's glamorous work, and they're being held at gunpoint. It's hard to take, but important, I think, to think about. And I don't think that we should shy away from those images.
People needed to see that shit in their face. The immigration issue is not even really the main point. It's almost like the narrative in which this storyline takes place, but it's not really the focal point.
Which I think makes it more almost resonant or and feel less on the nose. It's not a story as much about like, let's follow a family ripped apart by immigration struggles.
This was unique in that it's nice to see people caring enough about these issues to get this deeply involved in it. They can't have a normal life now because they were so passionate about trying to change this situation. If you're a normal human being, this should be disturbing to you. Like, this is disturbing.
It's violent. It's upsetting. The violence in the movie is not at all glamorized, even though this is like an action movie. It's a thrilling movie to watch and it's exciting. Like, all of the violence is super upsetting. Even when the people you maybe want to not to die, but just like to not succeed are hurt, it's gross and disturbing. Does this movie actually explore the issues that are facing our society right now? Or is it just sort of being like, politics are a thing, police are a thing, white supremacy is a thing?
There's this interwovenness of different realities that we're all facing, but don't necessarily talk about. Yes, the interracial aspect is definitely something that, like, there's people out there that are like this. So,
interracial things? Wow.
No, lockjaw specifically. There's people out there that are like that. I remember seeing a crazy statistic during the pandemic that was like, in red states, there is a huge amount of black porn being consumed. What does that really mean? People who don't necessarily think that black people are people desire or fetishize black bodies. Seeing that on screen is going to be triggering. There's definitely camps of black people that are like, a racial relationship should not happen. Any white person that's doing that obviously has a fetish or they're trying to control that person. I've never seen this type of character portrayed before. All of the horror. He's a very good actor. He did a great job in this role. Like,
Sean Penn.
Disgusting to look at.
He looks grotesque at all times. His walk, every time you see it, I want to laugh. Strutting, sort of like ridiculous. And because of these things that we're saying, almost is like it would be a cartoon, or he is cartoonish, but I think it's actually a really complex portrait of somebody who has this fetish, who thinks he's into black women in general.
It has to be something shameful. At one point he says like, I'm not a homosexual. So it's almost on the same level to him as being gay.
Yeah, it is interesting when he equates that. You watch him like grappling with it, where he hates himself for it, but he also on some level knows that he shouldn't. When he's telling his maybe I need to cut that out.
Yeah.
He's telling Chase Infinity's character that she needs to respect both of her parents and that she should have respect for her mom, who was this radical leftist revolutionary. It's such an interesting moment because it's like near the end of the movie and you're like, wait a second. He's like enthusing about how wonderful and admirable this woman was, even though he is trying to join a white supremacy society and is clearly a hateful, awful person. I found that like really interesting that he's that complex.
He knows he's a piece of shit. And the time of day that she gave him was probably the best time of his life. And
Teyana
like,
Taylor, you mean?
Yeah. What is the psychology behind a person that really gets involved in these types of things? People in the military, high-ranking generals and stuff, like there's too many people to just be brainwashed. So they must believe that what they're doing is right. In the military, you have to take a lot of orders. And I think that can also kind of scramble your value system because you go through basic, they deprogram you from being a civilian. Like you can be against the government or the president or whatever, but you just can't publicly express. His character really embodied just the scrambling.
And I think the portrayal of the military and how they sort of reference what makes someone rise through the ranks. I do think it's interesting just how they portray why the military does what it does, because they're clearly like also out on this like wild goose chase for these revolutionaries and for these characters who really shouldn't matter, you know? And like he basically, and I didn't pick up on this until the second time, he tells his team that they need to come up with a reason to invade the town where all these people are hiding out. And then they also instigate the conflict that's happening in the town. The military has someone come in on the seemingly on the civilian side, on the like just townspeople side, and come in and like throw a Molotov cocktail, like seemingly act like they're aggressing against the military, even though no one is actually doing it, you know? So the movie is sort of implying that like the military is behind some of these conflicts and is just trying to like start up these conflicts between the citizenry and the government so that they can have a reason to like be violent against us, which is pretty provocative. I think like that's like one of the more provocative ideas in the movie, and I think it's like really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been a thing since like the BLM protests. Like people really were looking at that, like they were just like mysterious piles of bricks and stuff showing up. And people were saying, who put these fucking bricks here? They're orchestrating something. They're trying to instigate violence. The producer, the director, the story writer, they know what's going on, what has been going on. And they're able to like, kind of infuse this plot with all these different callbacks to moments in recent history when it comes to like the pandemic and the protests, BLM, George Floyd protests and all that stuff. And also the ICE thing and the immigration. It does just feel like very freeing to know that there are people with the budget to make a movie like this and they are seeing reality the way that they need to be seeing it, you know? Like they're not just making a movie to make money off of people necessarily. They're trying to tell a story. They're trying to spark change.
I think so. Yeah, it does feel good. I love something that can simultaneously both grapple with really important issues and make you laugh. That's one of my favorite things. And I love that the movie is genuinely upsetting, genuinely moving emotionally, but also so funny throughout. The movie isn't quite a statement of activism, but it is very like pro-activism and pro-revolutionary. And the ending is very satisfying in terms of a young generation is taking up arms and like there is hope in young people's willingness to fight the good fight, I guess, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's good to know that like in the end, the only person that was really out to get them was the guy, the lockjaw guy, and like with him not in the mix, nobody was really checking for them. As far as like pro-activism, it definitely explores something that I think a lot of liberal-minded people think about, but are maybe too pussy to actually do, which is like actually go this hard. You know, it's something that I've been thinking about a lot. Is like, how did we get here? You know, how did Trump even become president? Like, we have been sleeping. I don't know. We've just been, I don't know what we've been doing, but like, some people are willing to fucking live out their delusions, you know? And they live out them so strongly that they make them reality. And what annoys me about left-leaning people is this moral high ground, virtue signaling. You're an intellectual, yes. But what actions are you actually taking? Protesting is great, but like, are you really about it? Are you really about to show up to something like this seriously? The way these characters are in this movie? No, they're not showing up. It's like, none of us are. And that's the problem. It's like, you'll definitely see some right-leaning people, gun-toting motherfuckers, militant motherfuckers, military motherfuckers will go this fucking hard. I think that's what bothers me is even after watching it, it's hard to even feel pulled to do something. I don't know why. For some reason, watching these characters do all this, it still feels extreme to me. And it shouldn't. And I think that is revealing the, not necessarily brainwashing, but just like the rhetoric around like progressivism is just like, you know, MLK type shit. Peaceful protest. You know, you have to just like shout into a void until people start caring. And like, that's not enough, okay? Like, look at the state of things. That's not working. Obviously, like going it to the extreme that these characters were, like the vigilante type way of doing things, you know, blowing shit up. I mean, that seems extreme and like it's dangerous. And I feel like people do go missing because they are doing stuff like this. But like, this is what needs to be done. People don't listen until you start really attacking their businesses or attacking their sources of income, or you start challenging their power structures. Nothing is going to change until we like grow a pair and do that. It was nice to see liberals that were edgy liberals, you know what I mean? And then the movie even calls that out many times, that there's a difference between like these people and liberals. Like liberals are like high on the horse, like just like talking around issues, like they're just comfortable talking, yapping about what needs to change and systems and all this stuff. But like, what are you actually doing? And like, what are you willing to, you know, are you willing to fight for this shit? Like, no. It's comfortable, you know, it makes you feel powerful in a conversation to have talking points. But when shit really hits the fan, what are you really about to do? Like nothing. You're going to conform. You're going to be quiet. I think it's hard. Like it makes you confront you yourself are complicit in the system, and how your silence and your like willingness to conform to this larger machine is like part of why this stuff is even able to happen in the first place. You know, it forces you to self-reflect.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it's something I guess I'm still always kind of grappling with. I am kind of soft by nature, I would say, and like traditionally always been inclined to be sort of pacifist or like nonviolent. But a lot of friends and just smart people, especially in talking about sort of like Israel-Palestine issues, have sort of brought to my awareness about how sometimes, like especially in that type of situation, like sometimes the only way the oppressor does hear or listen to your calls for change are through like violent action. That's definitely something like I am continuing to think about and that this movie provokes. I have so many questions for you that I've been wanting to ask you in this week. So I guess the first one is related to what we're just talking about. And I think I know your answer, so we don't need to go that long on this one. I think what you're referencing when you're saying that the movie is aware of the sort of difference between these kind of like soft liberals and these hardcore revolutionaries is these jokes the movie makes at the expense of the character on the phone. He works for the French 75, which is the revolutionary crew. He's not Gen Z, but
he looks like a millennial.
He looks older. He looks older, but the joke is about the language that has been popularized by younger millennials and Gen Z, which is like overly politically correct. One could say it's sort of making fun of, you know, someone who's saying that they're triggered. My immediate reaction in that moment was that those jokes are kind of too cheap a little bit, and then it's like, oh, someone got triggered, and Leonardo DiCaprio's like, shut the fuck up, man. Like, that feels a little just like kind of an eye roll to me, but it seems like you got maybe a little more thematic meaning out of it, or you like that joke better. I'm going to add one more example onto it and then get your reaction on these. The other example that kind of rubbed me the wrong way both times that I didn't love was that, like, I wouldn't say the movie is through DiCaprio's character's perspective, but I do think it sort of does take on his perspective occasionally. And like when he sort of is lightly making fun of his daughter's non-binary friend. And then what I really didn't like either time, and I'm open to being convinced about this because I love almost everything about the movie, but the like slight things I don't like. One of the things is that I don't like that it's the non-bi, and again, spoilers for people, but I don't like it that it's the non-binary character that is ultimately weak and gives up the daughter having the cell phone. I think that's sort of like, why does it have to be that character?
Okay.
It feels like it's the movie going, yeah, these non-binary people, they are kind of they are kind of shitty and like.
No. So I do think there's the emergence of like independent voters and people, moderates, right? People in the middle who are like, they're edgy, they don't get this whole they, them stuff, you know, trans, like what is that?
What is this?
There's that type of person, but they're still liberal. And then there's like, obviously like Trump supporters.
Bigots.
So basically I was thinking like, okay, well, this person is scared of going to jail. They're like, put them in handcuffs, right? They're not going to jail. It was just trying to intimidation tactic. You can't throw kids in jail. Like you can't do that at a school dance. So, but they don't know that. Like the kids do not know that. So the guy, I don't know his name either, the general who's interrogating them,
I don't
just
know.
did that.
That actor is great though. He's hateable, but it's a really great performance.
Yeah, I guess he does a good job. He's very like boring to me, but I mean that's he's supposed to be like dead-eyed and like emotionless, so I get that.
He makes all these boring lines to me like come alive so much in a way that you hate that character, but I don't know. I just think it's a good performance. But anyway,
I just think that like, okay, you're a they them, you're non-binary, and someone is threatening to put you in jail, you're gonna go into the male jail. So I think that could have been a reason why they were like, okay, I'm not trying to go there. Like I can't go there. I'm not going to survive that or whatever.
That, but do you really think that's this movie's perspective? I don't know. What it gives us on that character just feels like a little like short, selling that character short, just like for a joke. I don't know.
I don't think it was funny though. I don't think it was a joke because it wasn't funny. And I think the kids like were actually like very like Gen Z, like relatable. They're just they have this Gen Z stare and they're just like dead-eyed.
They're great. They're great. I like that actor who plays like I just more about how it's written and like the function that they play in the narrative, you know. But I know the kids are great to me. So like one thing I talked about in the other video also, and that's true, is that Paul Thomas Anderson, this director, hasn't made a movie set in the modern day for like almost 25 years, and his last like 4 or 5 movies I think have all been period pieces. So everyone was kind of wondering, like, we all love PTA, but it's like, can he write? He's like in his 50s now, and it's like, can he write modern day characters, you know? And like this movie, I think feels extremely like, it's crazy. Like I think those Gen Z kids feel very real. Okay, another question for you.
Wait, did we finish?
We have
you asked me about the guy on the phone, right? Yeah.
That also. So, yeah. How did that?
Yes.
I didn't hear you laughing.
I didn't laugh at that really because I just know people who talk like that. Like it is like a 2020 joke. Like it would have been funnier like 5 years ago. But I'm glad they put it in there because it plays into the story. Like it plays into like differentiating these people from those types of people. And there are those people that are hoity-toity, that are so fixated on certain wording, hyper correct, you know, or like politically correct or whatever, that they're not thinking about the bigger picture. And like, it's so true. Like people who are actually out here doing shit, they don't act the same way as people that are sitting on their ass postulating about it. They just don't. And you can see in that character, Sensei is just so like, his personality is so, he really bout this shit. He was unfazed, unbothered. He seems like the type of guy that's seen some shit. He's seen somebody get like fucked up and then just like had to like, he discovered like karate or whatever and just started doing like Zen practices and just like had to get his shit together that way. But he's able to just stay Zen no matter what's going on. Too many people who have, you know, a big part of like progressivism, like being a liberal, is empathy and feeling a lot. And I think that is a blessing, but also can be a curse, because if you're feeling too much, you're not able to focus. You're not able to think big picture. You're not able to be like
pragmatic or
like rational or just level headed when shit really like hits the fan.
Or achieve activism. Yeah, you need to see the bigger picture in order to.
Because it's not about you. Like, it's about what you're trying to do.
Right. With the movie, I think that idea of the bigger picture actually is important. And when DiCaprio, after Teyana Taylor is compromised, then DiCaprio's friend and associate tells him, like, you know, this is about the bigger picture. You need to look at the bigger picture. That
whole thing was lackluster to me. Just that character, Billy Goat or whatever his code name was.
Yeah.
Because he had this whole thing about big picture and like, remember this and then burn it after. He was so serious.
Yeah.
But he didn't think about his sister, which is what they end up getting him with. Like, they blackmail him, basically. They bring him in and interrogate him and like, they're like, oh, you think your sister? And then immediately immediately he folds. It's like, you do all this, you have all these papers, you have this guy memorizing all this shit, carrying this fucking Motorola, like, you know, some type of weird tech that he put together himself. And he's probably like been skipping town and like, you know, hiding out in different, like he's probably been on the run for years, but he folds immediately because they found out he has a sister. Like, it might not have been inaccurate or like not realistic, but I think it was just like annoying. But there are a few moments like that throughout the movie where like they take you mentally down a certain road and then like pivot very quickly. Like, it's such a hard pivot. Sometimes it's jarring and like kind of hard for your brain to like accept what's happening now. Like, you want to resist the plot that's unfolding. Really? Yeah, like that's one of them. The other one is like when he falls off the fucking, like he like literally falls off the roof. He's like running behind the he's running behind these kids with skateboards, or like not kids, probably like 20-year-old, whatever. Yeah,
but they're so much more balletic and athletic than him, and they're just sailing over the tops of these roofs.
And it's funny. It's funny how he just like literally belly flops on the concrete, but it's just like, damn. I mean, all of that, like it's annoying because like, I will say, like, to actually say something negative, I was getting a little like bogged down by how much he was just getting upset and emotional. Yeah. Because he was just getting so upset. Like, he was just like getting so annoyed about the guy over the phone, and he did it like 2 or 3 different scenes. It just felt like it was filler, like it was taking time or what it was intended to do, but it started to get like, I started to just like get over it. I was just like, okay.
I do too. I think DiCaprio is really great in the movie, and so he mostly holds my attention through that, but it does feel like he's going to that well a couple too many times with the yelling and sort of just like getting really upset. And it's funny and engaging, like when he does that. Like, he's a great actor, but it's just like, we didn't need to see it that many times.
No, like 3 times is like enough. Like too much. Like, honestly, the first time was funny. Yeah. The second time was like, okay. And then like he just keeps doing it. It's just like, okay.
And he doesn't just yell about that though, is it that like he's upset yelling about like several things, and it's like
I do feel like they're trying to project onto him like the audience's reaction, like or just like what the audience is expecting from a character. Like, he's acting the way I think most people would act. Yeah. It's just like losing their shit.
Okay, another question for you I have 2 big, like, remaining questions. Well, one's a big one and one's just a small one. How did you feel about the music?
That shit is so, like, emotionally draining. What is the word? There is a music word for it.
Well, it's just constant, number one.
It's pretty much in almost every second
of the movie, which...
There's music playing almost the entire time.
Typically something I don't like, but...
It is dissonance.
Yes.
Constant dissonance. It is and just like,
yeah.
And if you're in a theater where it's just like blasting, it's also not too fun.
It's like heavily percussive. At one part, the drums are going, it's like 3 different drum rhythms, like at once, you know, like like rattling around.
Cacophony.
Cacophony, but not like melodic and like sweet piano, like ringing in your ears.
Just and, like the worst chords, like dissonant chords that do not go together at all.
But I love it. I think it's Johnny Greenwood who does the score for all of PTA's movies. He's a member of Radiohead, and he's been much acclaimed for his PTA movie scores. Like, he did There Will Be Blood, he did The Master. And I always think his music is great for these movies. I do think I could have used it not being in a few of these scenes. Like, I love a scene with no music, just in a movie in general. Like, I don't always need to be told what to feel. For me, I don't, like you said that you feel like the movie in general, like that sometimes, the turns it takes kind of trip you up, or you feel like you're not with the momentum of it. For me, what's beautiful about the movie is that it's just one long stream of momentum, and I'm just like always with it. It's just like action scene, emotional scene, like new narrative development, and throughout all of it, and the music helps with this. You're just like, it's like a slipstream.
Yeah, it's like it's one long continuous experience. It doesn't really break. And like they do have the cuts are like really good. Oh, the editing is amazing. Incredible. Like it's so like it'll cut you, like it'll be in a really deep, intense something. You're like deeply thinking about it, and then it'll just cut to something else. I kind of appreciate that thought interruption, kind of the humor of life, and how like that's how life is. Like you can be like zoning out or like not really be thinking about like your life that deeply, and like, but life is still happening. Like things are still happening. You're not necessarily processing them. And then moments like where you're like doing something completely different, then you're like thinking about it later, you know? So like, I do think that that kind of editing does mimic reality and like how people process things or don't process things, and then what that kind of does to you in your life.
I noticed it a little bit last time, the editing, but it was really apparent to me just how cool some of those cuts are, and it like mysterious cuts where it cuts to something and you're like, wait, like what exact point in time is it? Like when
timing passes.
Yeah, timing passes, but not like when he's on the couch and he like Lockjaw is gonna come and invade the house, and then all of a sudden it cuts to the door of DiCaprio's house and the door it falls down and you're like, is he still here?
Yeah, like they break into his house.
Right. And
right after he was on the couch. So you're not sure, like.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the just stuff like that it's so engaging and like involving. Yeah, it really made the editing just blew me away this time. Okay, final big question that I've been curious about and I've still been wrestling with in my head. Number one, I just want to say that, and ask also if you felt the same way, that I get why Teyana Taylor isn't in the rest of the movie, but I miss her so much and I want her to come back. And she disappears out of the movie after 30 minutes and I'm like, come back. I miss you. Like, she's great in it. I love that character and I want her to come back. I want her to see her again on screen and you never do. And it upsets me. And I'm like, should she come back? I mean, I don't know.
What is the question?
The question is, should she come back? But then also I have another question just about her character, which is that, do you think not to get TMI, but you know, like very pro-sex, very sex positive person. And I like and think it's really interesting how her character introduces this idea of like sex being caught up in activism, being caught up in the violence, being caught up in like how she humiliates Sean Penn's character when they first encounter each other. But also, like, do you think that character is over-sexualized? And, like, do you think that, like, I don't know, I just go back and forth with her where I'm like, when she's like, let's fuck while the bomb goes off to DiCaprio, it's like, I kind of like that. And then I'm also like, especially because she leaves the movie so soon, does it really give this woman, also a black woman, and the first really major black woman character that PTA's ever had in one of his movies, and he's also married to a black woman in real life, Maya Rudolph, and she's like an extremely sexual person who wants to like fuck everyone. Like, I don't know. Did that make you feel weird?
I would say that she's definitely embodying a little bit of a Jezebel character, like a little bit of a caricature, but like not menstrual. Yeah. You know what I'm saying though, right?
Just sort
the
of
Jezebel
a stereotype of like black womanhood where like,
Yeah, where basically the black woman is just like, and this goes back to like slavery. It goes back to like, well, she made me do it. Like I had to, you know, assault her or whatever because like she just looked so good and like she just put a spell on me. And that's something that Lockjaw says. Yeah, just this narrative that like she made me do it. Like I just couldn't help myself around her. And so I think that does play a little bit into the white supremacy and also the fetish that Lockjaw obviously has, where he doesn't respect these people. He doesn't like view them as people. He doesn't see black people as people. You know, he calls them mutts.
Yeah, but I also think that is just like people who are sympathetic to. Yeah, I guess maybe it's.
I'm gonna have to look it up. I think it was another racial
was it? I thought it was just people who were sympathetic to this cause. But I guess, yeah, it does play into that, but it's like, does the characterization of her that way play into those white supremacist tropes too much then where it's like,
well, I think it's
reducing this woman to that.
Well,
like,
I think that the reduction happens like in the viewer's mind. If there is a reduction, it's happening in the viewer's mind because black women should be allowed to be sexual. They should be allowed to be in relationships and do what the hell they want to do. And if that's her personality, if that's how she is, then it doesn't mean that she is a Jezebel. It just means that like that's how people are seeing her. And I love movies that do this too, which is like hold up the mirror, like and like force you to like they're like it's bait. It's like, we know what you're going to think something racist and we're forcing that in your own mind so you can like self-reflect and realize that you have like biases, internal biases and like, And it's just, and even like I know black people saw that and thought the same shit. That like, oh, she a hoe and that she walking out on her kids. Like, I know people in there were thinking the same thing because it's like, that's like their narratives. We all have like personal experiences or trauma or whatever that we're calling back to, we're thinking back on. And I think she very clearly was like bipolar or had some type of like mental problem, because when they took her in, she was in like grippy socks and a hospital gown. So, like, I'm not sure if, you know, she probably got evaluated, you know, she just left her kid. It's hard to see that too, because like, is that another stereotype of black moms or like black parents walking out on their kids or just like being a deadbeat or something like that? And so it's hard to see that type of stuff too, but I think it does build a story about who this person is. Like, this person could have done some incredible stuff. This person could have been like a badass or like someone that a lot of people like looked up to or thought was cool, you know. But in reality, they had their problems. Like, they weren't necessarily thinking, or they weren't necessarily mature or a well-rounded, stable person. I think it just goes back to like what you always say, which is like, just because it's hard to look at doesn't mean they shouldn't tell these stories. You know what I mean? Like, just because it could potentially be taken that way doesn't mean it shouldn't be written or portrayed.
Yeah. No, I like that take. I think I ultimately agree with you, and it just is something that I wrestle with each time I've watched the movie. And I think you're right. It is probably the movie like sort of holding up a mirror and being like, what do you see in this portrayal? I think it's also helped though, for if that was the only black woman character in the movie, I think I would feel like that wasn't maybe okay, or that it would make me feel like uncomfortable in a bad way. But I think the fact that especially Chase Infinity is the daughter, such a great fucking performance. So good, so different than Teyana Taylor as her mom too. She really moved me too when she like has an interaction with Leo toward the end. I'm not going to spoil, just like I was so moved this time. Like I almost wanted to cry. And it's like all in her performance and look on her face and like the way that she's processing trauma. It's so great. Yeah, and then Regina Hall also gets a nice role.
Yeah, there's so many black women in this that I think it does help to offset any inclination to do that. And if you still have inclination to do that, maybe you need to self-reflect. You might have internalized white supremacy and things of that nature.
Yeah. But did you miss her? Like, are you fine with the amount she's in the movie?
I'm fine with her walking off. Because like, I liked that letter at the end. I thought that was nice. But she's in Cuba. There's literally a lady, I don't remember her name. There's a lady who did something similar, like in the 60s or something, and she's in Cuba, and they never found her. She has like a bounty on her head. Like, they'll pay like thousands of dollars to have her back. It's crazy though, but there are people who are really about this shit, you know? And it's like, it's inspiring to think that like people really were willing to go this far for what they believed in, and they still are. You know, I heard somebody on TikTok or Instagram saying that there was a bunch of people pulling up to fucking like Gaza to like try to like use their bodies to stop what's going on, be like a wall, like a barrier between, like, because they're thinking they're using their privilege, you know, and where they come from, like, they're not going to do this to us. Like, maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't know. But it is cool to see people and know that there are people actually like going out and doing that.
Yeah.
It does like make you want to get more involved. And like, I do think that, you know, blowing up buildings is, you know, potentially problematic. It could potentially hurt people that aren't part of the war that you're trying to fight. So I do think that might be a bit extreme, but it makes for like a really entertaining movie. And it's just like nice to, I don't know, not like see yourself on screen, but just like to see your fantasies play out. You know, if you're like a liberal who is seeing these like horrific things that are going on in the world and like really questioning like, how do we get here, like in terms of like the political situation we're in right now, how it just feels like every day like something else is coming out. It's just like getting worse and worse. And this is how it was when Trump was president the first time too. It's like every day is some new news of like it's just getting progressively worse and worse, and you're like, how is this even allowed to happen? It's going to be very satisfying for you to go see this movie, just because like, yeah, this is what we all daydream about, is having the balls to like do some shit like this and just like dismantle everything that's going on, you know? So I think it's cool though. I'd like that they show there's different ways. Like the revolution, those are the people that actually like make change happen. It's the ones that you don't see yapping about it on social media. Like they're actually doing this shit, risking their life. But everyone does have a role to play. And like I do think that like ideas are like the first step. Like changing your consciousness is the first step to even being sympathetic to things like this in the first place. I saw someone make a post about how like black women who are too like woke just start dating white men, and I thought that was an interesting take. Because
Can you relate to that?
I do think there's merit there, because like it's not that there's no black men interested in doing these types of things. I don't know if they intentionally portrayed the relationship that way, because it's not like DiCaprio's character is like super woke or anything like that.
No.
But I do think it is something that we will probably see more in movies, is like interracial relationships like this, because I do think that consciousness is expanding to the point where, you know, people can be racist, they can be bigots, they can do what they want to do, but like at the end of the day, like I think that humans are evolving past these type of like arbitrary lines that we draw in the sand. I think that it's going to be, not only is it like interesting to look at on screen and to see like the dynamics of how that plays out, because like he's not like some guy that grew up in the hood. Like he doesn't seem like he grew up in the hood or anything, but she very much like, she's speaking in Ebonics, like she's black, like she's not like, you know, a whitewashed like black girl. She's a black woman, like, and they don't try to like hide that or gloss over that. And I like that. Like I like that that she is fully herself. She has a very strong personality and her character is very like vivid.
Okay, guys, thanks for joining us. We're gonna do another video soon.
We love you, and we'll see y'all in the next one.
Like and subscribe,
Comment down below. Comment down below and let us know what you thought of the movie.